You ever wonder how hard it is to change a bearing? You're about to find out. Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel. MFJJ here at PodiumArcher.com. Holding Tim's Alaskan XT from the Best Bow for the Money videos. This is Tuesday before we leave for TAC, and Tim's like, hey, why's my, I don't got a little washer in here, and his bearing blew up in this thing. So,
What's my ring-ding-jingling?
What's the ring-a-dingy-jingly? So we're going to go ahead and take this apart real quick and put a new bearing in it just so you can see how to do that. I don't have my bearing press or anything up here, but I should be able to do it with some tools. So first things first, you're going to have to press your bow, get your axle out, and you're going to want to make sure that you have even pressure on your limbs when you do that, because it gets really hard to get an axle out if you don't. So I'm going to move these in a bit, bring them in more like that. This little doodad gets in the way when you try to press it, unfortunately, which is the negative about that system. I'm going to get this up to where it's touching and then get an idea if we're leaning here. Now, you know how you got that left to right tear you were talking about the other day? Mm-hmm. This might actually be why. This might have been broken and that might have been causing it. So we're going to find out real quick here. All right. Okay, that should be relatively even when we go to press it. You can usually feel these and feel when they start to get about the same when you're trying to tighten. Just get an idea. And we really don't have to worry about that end because that's the end that's coming off. Okay. All right, so you're going to want an E-clip tool. These are on the website. Oh, and while you're on the website, use coupon code MFJJ to save a little money. Pop off your E-clip. Now you're going to have to take this whole assembly out, so you're going to try not to lose parts. So a smart person will take their phone out and take a picture of the spacing. In case it falls on the ground, you know what you had. All right, I'm going to have to get that sucker out. I'm going to need a hammer for that. Hang on. Don't have any nice tools. I only have crude tools up here. I'm working on that. I'm going to take this off so it's out of our way. Okay, so we'll need something to hold against that. Okay, make sure nothing's sliding off here. So as soon as that goes, the whole thing's going to shift. There you go. All right, so now it's loose. And here's the part you're trying to avoid losing a whole bunch of shit, like that. So that was the front of his bearing and the first spacer. Now, since we're pulling it out from this side, you can pull the axle out till it lets go of the cam, but keep the spacers on the axle. And we can take a look at what we got there, and that's your blown up bearing. Right there. Multiple spacers in here. Oof. Come on, little fella.
Why does a guy blow out a bearing?
Well, it probably has a bad bearing because you haven't had this bow that long, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Want to make sure if you take this stuff off and you've already got everything the way you want it, we're going to clip that, and clip that. So don't just let go of them. It's about the worst thing you can do because they'll all untwist. So you take an old paper clip, if you got one laying around, we always do from putting on strings because they're usually paper clipped together, and twist it up so they can untwist. Then you can let go of them. You don't have to worry about it coming untwisted or coming out of time or orientation. Now the tricky part is getting that out of there. Normally, like this bearing, I think it pushed out. You can see a little bit of reveal in here. If you get your Allen wrench in there just right, I use a press down shop, but if you do it right, it might just pop right out just like that one did. And then I'm hoping these Hoyt ones that we have, because that's what we had laying around the shop, this part might be a little trickier. And this is where your bearing press comes in handy because it'll push it out from the center and there's like a hole in the middle of it. Coming out, it's almost out. You can buy, I think the bearing press we have, I bought at Harbor Freight. It wasn't expensive, but we're just up at the house, so they're crammed down there. And this is like last minute before we get on a plane, which I'm fixing this before I even finish sighting in my own bow. You're welcome. So we're gonna find out if these are the same as these. I sure look like it, and to be safe, I'd probably replace both of them, especially because I was sitting out a little bit. That might have dicked that one up. So if you're ever going to go through the work of replacing your spacers, just replace them, or your bearings, just replace them both. They're not. It's not like it's super expensive at that point. The expense is in the labor. That's the other nice thing about a bearing press is it just presses it back in. You're not smacking it with a hammer and putting a burr on it. But if you're careful and you know what you're doing, it's not that terribly hard. And then when you get this done, you're going to have to run the bow back through paper again because it's most likely going to be a little different left to right, because that probably doesn't just instantaneously happen, that happens over usage. So most likely if you retuned your bow because it didn't look right like Tim did last week, that's probably what was actually causing it. I just didn't think a bearing would go out that quick, not to say a mark on bear or anything, it's just that's pretty abnormal. So now the tricky here, in fact, since we already let this down, did we already tighten that? Or that just stretch? Tempted to just let it back down again. Get these back in here without having one fall out on me. Actually, I'll do the old trick from the opposite side thing here. So sometimes when you have spacers like this, and it is a pain in the ass, and I'm saying ass, if you put something in from the other side that's about the size of the hole, like an Allen wrench, there you go, and then take this out of your way. So I actually had the other spacers fall off, and fortunately I took a picture so I know which ones are on there and I can see it. So it's my little cheating thing here. So that is why you always take a picture. In case something falls, you know where it goes. So this was on this side. Let's flip that around actually. I think that little guy was on the inside. I'm not sure it really matters, but I'm just going to assume that it does. Because that needs to get in past that. Okay. Now these other ones were also, I guess we're going to use this on this side to throw the other these on. Okay, so we got the spacer set that we want, the way we want it, other than this little, this is like one of the least favorite things to do is try to change an axle or bearing out in a bow that has a bunch of spacers. This is easier to do if you take the load off of it, so I think I'm going to, because this is fighting me pretty hard. Okay. Don't want it to fall. Okay. You got it?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, so now that's back down where it belongs. Those are where they belong. Cool. That should be wide enough we can fix it. Oh, son of a bitch. Let me get this side lined up at least.
Mm-hmm.
That in this. There it goes. Okay, got it? Yeah, I see him. Embarrassingly enough, this is not an uncommon look. That shit just falls. Ah, damn it. They just fall. This part sucks. They really do not like to go back together. Okay. Got it. Now I'm wondering if you got a spacer missing or broken, but that had a gap in it before, right?
I don't remember.
It did. When you showed it to me, it had a gap. We can check it against one down at the shop, but. Ah! There you go. Cut. All right. Oop. String. Cable. That's your bus, so that goes to this one. That's your control, so it goes over here. And sometimes I'll use my E-clip tool to shove that in there because sometimes they're a little tight. And this goes on your string, peg. All right, we're a little short here, so we're going to press it just a wee bit more. Stretch that and retighten that, but looks like it's good. And voila, back in one piece. So stick that back over, retighten this back down. Let's see here. That cord got all stretched out from getting the weight load off of it, so I'll just tighten that back down and run it through paper and see what your wheeling looks like, but you should be good to go. So it's not that hard to change a set of bearings. It's really not. It's just taking the time. And a bearing press is a lifesaver. I had a customer make me some little tools that help you get the bearings out that I still use today. But you don't have to have them to get them out. It's just a nice advantage. Once you get them out, putting them back in is easy with a press. But that is how you change a bearing. Comment down below on what other videos like this you may want to see. Or if this video was worthless, helpless, if we looked incompetent, whatever you want to say. I really don't care. Put it down below. Hey, follow along on the Instagram and pay attention to what happens in San Antonio because that's coming up next. Thanks for watching.